With the integration of technological advancements and innovations in our everyday lives becoming an unnerving menace, and the ease of availability of devices that belong in laboratories and nuclear facilities, the horror and abuse of the commonalities of daily life for satiating the luxurious demands of the resourceful has grown alarmingly. We are joined today by Suds on my right, who has lashed out at one such self-professed avant-garde creator who is accused of misusing and abusing the integrity of cultural traditions prevalent across the world by trying to destroy native recipes and dishes that have carried forward the history of a place. In order to defend his stance, his methods, and his so-called avant-garde creativity, we are joined by Singh, who will help us understand why his actions are not reprehensible. At the core, the issue that has morally segregated and possibly severed the long-lasting friendship of our guests forever is the right of a non-native vagabond to travel and learn about people, their traditions, and their food culture, and later on use it for financial gains by creating a TV show in which thousand-year-old recipes are subjectively dissected for entertainment, all while wearing a garb of creativity. Fellow humans, if you are watching this, I welcome you to the archives of the future generation. Suds and Singh, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Zoe. Thank you for having us.
Glad to be here. Just about one question, Zoe. You said avant-garde. Let's make sure we understand. That's degrading the term avant-garde. He's not avant-garde. He's a total fraud.
Okay, I take serious offense to your comment. I don't call myself avant-garde. I'm a creative chef. I am a creative person. I'm using various techniques, new modern techniques, to upgrade cuisine. So don't call me a fraud.
Well, to me, a fraud is somebody who does not do what the actual recipe calls for. If you have an Indian food, Indian tradition, Indian recipe, you use the same ingredients, you have the knowledge and understanding of what the culture is all about, and you have that food. You've totally changed ingredients, you've totally changed the way the food is made out there. To me, that's fraud, I'm sorry. That's 100% fraud. You've actually bastardized the culture.
I take that as a compliment. Thank you.
You do.
Here's my argument. Because if you're accusing me of all that stuff that you're accusing me of, okay, you keep forgetting the fact that I am, specifically to Indian food, I'm from India. I was born in India. I lived there for 16 years. I have cultural heritage going back to India. So I believe that I've earned the right to at least destroy Indian food if I want to.
What about Filipino food?
Well, I didn't destroy that. Not that I care.
Yes, you did.
Okay, maybe I did, but not that I care. Here's the thing. Filipino food and Filipino traditions have been, sort of stayed away and hidden away in a remote part of the world. I'm trying to bring them up and open them up to the American audience, to the world for that matter.
So I guess by
modernizing them, I'm taking traditional Filipino recipes, breaking them down into the essential elements, and then recombining them into more commonly available and recognized European, classical dishes. So I'm creating a turon with a mille-feuille. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. The flavors and the essence of the dish is still there.
So,
go ahead.
I have a quick question.
Sure.
So, how do you think Singh has destroyed the cuisine?
Well, first of all, he's not a Filipino. He asked someone like me to play a Filipino on the spot. I got the recipe 5 minutes in advance, so I'm basically...
That's a lie.
Maybe 10 minutes in advance, okay, I apologize.
That's a lie.
But then he brought in food from a restaurant, and I'm supposed to mimic what the restaurant's doing out there. You didn't cook that food. The restaurant
I cooked that food. See, you're intentionally saying that that's just...
That's
you're
my point.
The fraud.
The Filipino is not cooking the food. You're asking someone to play a Filipino. It's not even actually made by somebody. It's actually a restaurant food. How is that not a fraud?
I'm actually going to remind you, Saz. I'm going to remind you that for 3 years you were stationed in the Philippines as a pharmaceutical exec, and you learned the Filipino cuisine while you were stationed there. That's exactly what you told me. I have the footage on camera. And if you're going to deny that, then you're the liar.
That's what you asked me to tell you, because I'm telling them. I'm only going to do what
So you can blame that on me as well.
Yes. My point is the fact that it was not actual Filipino food. It wasn't Filipino making it. It wasn't actual Filipino ingredients. You changed ingredients, by the way, as well, too. You told me it's supposed to have this in it, but I'm going to put this in instead.
No, I changed the ingredients. Okay, the Philippines has a wide array of geographic areas, and the cuisine depends and changes based on the availability of ingredients as higher you go in the altitude. So if someone might have star anise because they come from that area of Philippines, which was colonized by the Chinese, or influenced by the Chinese, I should say, not colonized. And if you go down south where they didn't have that, they might add coconut instead of star anise. So all those geographical boundaries add to the flavor and the cuisine and the differentiation of cuisine that exists within countries.
Why couldn't you get a Filipino to just go on a show? Just get a normal Filipino, natural Filipino to go out there and make a cook. Why couldn't you do that? What was wrong with that? What was wrong with that ideology?
We are going to actually get back to that question after the break. Thanks again for joining us, and we will be right back.
I'm actually gonna.
Just start the beats.
You start whatever you want, but let me control whatever's the tempo,
Okay.
and then you'll just speed up to whatever.
Okay.
Play some mean shit.
Welcome back to our show. So, Suds, how does it make you feel? How does Singh make you
Why do you
feel
keep
when
asking
he?
him all the questions?
Well,
I'm
I'll
here
get
as
to
well.
you. I'll get to
All
you.
right.
I'll ask you first. How does it make you feel that Singh is changing the recipes?
I think it's totally inappropriate. Again, it bastards the tradition culture. It disrespects the actual culture of food as well too. Plus, changing the chemicals and ingredients, you're adding chemicals to it. You know, just to me, is not cool at all.
Right,
So I mean, it's just not authentic. You know, if you're going to say you have an authentic cooking show, make it authentic. This is not authentic. It's totally fake. It's
Right.
totally, it's like McDonald's.
One, I never said I'm making an authentic cooking show, and besides, who are you to tell me that to define authentic for me while you're sitting there staring at me?
Natural. The person that's making
All
the
right,
food.
natural.
that's
Let's just hold natural.
Natural.
Okay, define natural. Do you believe an organic tomato is natural?
I think I'm not saying organic. It's not a discussion about organic or inorganic. It's not what we're talking about here.
Define
We're talking about
natural. Define natural ingredients.
Healthy. I'm not talking about putting chemicals in food to make it look good or make it better. I don't want that.
Okay, the chemicals
want
that I'm using have been approved by the FDA. 99% of the chemicals that I'm using are coming from organic material, which is seaweed. So seaweed are plants. Seaweeds are plants that grow in water.
FDA approves a lot of things that I wouldn't even touch. So
Okay, well,
that
that's it.
doesn't make me feel comfortable at all.
All right, scientifically speaking, I can vouch for all the chemicals that I'm using.
Are you also a scientist too?
I have a degree in biology, dum-dum.
Okay,
You should
so
know this.
now-
We used to be friends. Do you remember?
Now you're a scientist and now you're a chef as well too. Okay, here's my point.
person
okay.
can be multi-talented.
Tell me why I would want to eat your food, like right there on the screen.
It
up there.
looks pretty.
It looks pretty, but
And
it's
it
not,
tastes great.
It's not real.
Who says it's not real?
not real.
That's beetroot. That's actual beetroot. That's cabbage that I converted into kimchi. Those are hibiscus flowers, imported straight from Australia, by the way. They're very, very good.
Do you have a degree in doing this? Do you have a degree in cooking?
Okay, nice question. I'm glad you asked that question. Zoe, who cooks at your house?
My mom mostly.
Okay, and who do you cook, Suds?
I cook.
Okay, do you have a degree or does your mom have it? I'm being very respectful. Does your mom have a degree in cooking or in any culinary arts?
No, but she's a very good cook.
Okay, and same question goes to Suds. Do you have a degree in cooking?
No, but I've been taught how to cook. from
By
the
who?
In authentic Indian,
Did
Asian
those
people.
people, did any one of those people have a degree in the culinary arts?
It's not, they don't need a degree to do that.
You're not going to answer my question because it didn't. And that's my point. It's just because someone's been cooking something for a very long time, it doesn't mean they're actually good at it or they're professionals. You know, you're just learning what they're teaching you. What if what they're teaching you is wrong? What if what I'm doing right now was an art long time ago in history,
So
and it was lost.
So this is really art, not food. So you're saying it's really art.
Well, it's art
presentation.
created with food. It's art created with food. Food is a medium that can be used to create art as well. I mean, there are people who paint for no reason murals on walls in the public spaces.
Well, let me give an example. Let's take, for example, Indian food. Okay.
Okay.
I grew up Indian.
Why do you keep going on Indian
Because
food?
I grew up Indian. I'm gonna go my.
All right,
my
I'm Indian too. Okay,
my parents are Indian.
I'm gonna destroy it now.
And to me, I don't want somebody who's not Indian presenting Indian.
I'm
food,
Indian.
Okay.
You don't want
I'm just
anyone who's
giving an
Indian
example.
not cook Indian food.
Can I make my point here?
No.
Okay. My point is the fact that someone who's actually Indian should be making that food, because then they've learned the culture, they've understand the ingredients. It's so history based,
Do
culture
you
based
eat
out
Indian
there.
food at restaurants?
I do. Yes.
Okay, name a good restaurant. I'm free publicity. Name a restaurant that you like.
I'm not gonna go there right now, but there's a lot of good restaurants here, but a couple that
Okay.
I like it very much.
Have you ever been inside those kitchens?
I have.
Are there actual Indian people inside the kitchens who are working them?
Not
Or
all.
would
Not all
say
of them
they're
are.
they're rapists working inside.
Not all of them are, but they're owned by Indian people who have Indian traditional recipes out there. to
Again,
use
if
out
they're
there.
not, you just said that the people cooking
They don't
should
change-
be the ones,
They don't change the recipes. Okay, you change the recipes.
but they're
That's a problem.
cooking the recipes given to them by someone who doesn't cook.
But someone who actually knows the tradition and knows
How
the culture.
can you be so
It's a
sure?
Big difference. A big
I
difference.
come from India. I've lived there 16 years of my life. I go back every year, well, sort of. But I mean, I can say that I have equal amounts of tradition and culture in me, which is about Indian food. And I mean, I don't know how you're going to blame me for destroying Indian food when I believe I've earned the right to do so.
Just give me an example. Okay, just give you an example. To me, authentic means it has to be that particular tradition and culture. Understand it. If I'm
What
going
if
to
I
a
don't
Chinese
care about
restaurant,
culture?
I do. If I'm having I want to have Chinese food. I don't want to have American Chinese
I
food.
have one quick question. So why do you think it's not wrong to change the recipes?
Well, because I learned the traditional recipes and the authentic flavors by living with people through all my travels that I've done over the years. Right? When I came back to the States, I missed those flavors.
We're actually we'll revisit that question
That's fine. That's
later. We've had enough madness for now, but I'll let you guys argue it out after.
Sure.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Don't
I'm
watch
not
a
gonna
show.
leave the question.
Don't watch a show.
Oh, come on.
Don't plug a show. Don't plug
And
a
thank
show.
you to my guests.
Don't plug a show.
Come on, you have to plug my show.
No.
I'll just start the beats.
You start whatever you want, but let me control whatever's the tempo,
Okay.
and then you'll just speed up to whatever I do.
Okay.
Play some mean shit.
Welcome to the extended edition of The Future Generation. We are still in a heated conversation with Suds and Singh and are still trying to figure out who is right and who is wrong. On one hand, Suds has made an argument which we believe holds some credibility to the right of an individual to modify and adapt food, and on the other, the nonchalant defender who shows no signs of remorse or even an iota of guilt to acknowledge that the acts committed by him are even vaguely disgraceful. Sudson Singh, thank you for not killing each other so far in our show.
I can't promise I won't do it later on, but yes.
There's a
Singh, I'm
possibility.
gonna start by asking you a question. Earlier we talked about having degrees, having cooking degrees, and if you need one to be a good cook, do you have a cooking degree?
I tried to answer the question before, but I think it got cut off by that dude who's sitting over there.
I'm listening with my ears wide open.
I can see that. So yeah, as far as the degree is concerned, as I said before, our parents who probably we all learned from, or we're going to learn cooking from, they don't have degrees as far as I can tell. But we still hold them, we give them a certain value, which we also could give to a professional chef. So having a degree doesn't really change a person's ability to cook. But as far as my ability and my credibility is concerned, I've traveled far and wide. I've worked with some tremendously, amazing chefs. I learned enormous amounts of knowledge from them just working with them, and I didn't get a degree after working from them. But in 2012, after the closure of Al Bui at Harvard, there was a class started called Science of Food and Cooking, and I pulled all my contacts, which I made over the years, and yeah, I know. Which I made over the years, and I managed to get in just for the one class, and I learned from quite possibly the god of cooking,
Hey,
Ferran Adria.
1 point.
Let me finish. You can hold your point. You have a pen. You can write the thing down.
Go to sleep.
Yeah, okay. But yeah, so as far as degree, no, I don't. But do I have the technique? Yes, I do. Do I have my ability and credibility? Yes. And that's what I've been trying to explain to that dum-dum over there.
Just one counterpoint. Just because I sing a rap song with Eminem doesn't make me Eminem. You're not a chef. Bottom line. End of discussion.
Okay, neither are you, but you cook as well. So
I didn't say I was a chef.
I never said so either.
You're proclaiming that you make the stuff
I
out there.
cook and I have a cooking show. What part of that did I say that I am a chef? I never did. It's this cooking show.
But Singh, do you feel like you are being disrespectful at all to the cultures that the recipes are coming from?
Thank you.
Do I perceive it that way? No. If someone else perceives it that way, do I care? No, I couldn't care less. I mean, traditions for me are just, illusions. I couldn't care less about them.
You don't care about that?
I don't.
These are your viewers watching watching a show for authentic cuisines. You don't care if it's for an authentic person. What kind of person are you?
I learn the traditions and cultures via food, and I propagate them via the essence of food. But that doesn't mean that I honor or respect them. I mean, I'm there for the food, and I'm learning about the food because I want to, learn the different ingredients that are there. If that incorporates culture, fine, but that's not my motive.
Well, I mean, if I'm watching an Asian cooking show,
Can we
Korean
please
cooking
get
show,
away from Asia
Korean
for a
show,
moment?
I want to understand the Korean culture, okay? You don't teach me about culture. You just show me your food. I can care less about the food, actually.
If
I
you
want to know the culture
are
and the food as
expecting,
well, too.
if you are expecting to learn culture via food, then you seriously
Yes.
have a really wrong mindset because that doesn't happen.
If I want
If you're
food, I go
doing
to
a food
McDonald's,
show,
okay? I want to learn. If I'm
why
watching
do
a
you
cooking
keep
show,
going back to
I want
McDonald's?
to
Are they
have
paying
that.
you? He's being paid by McDonald's. Do you not see that?
Okay, let's get back to the topic. So, well, we're talking a lot about certain kinds of foods, but do you make other kinds of foods besides
Indian and Filipino
yeah.
food? Yes, I do. I mean, thank you for asking that.
Can you tell us a little
Yeah,
bit about that?
I've done so far 9 episodes, and the whole series was born after a coincidental meeting in India with one of a locally renowned chef, and I just asked her generally, hey, I'm glad I met you. I wish I had the time to eat something that you cooked, and she was kind enough to just on the spot go into a kitchen that was probably a quarter of the size of a kitchen that she's used to, and that's where the idea was born. That I learned that recipe. When I came back, I found those ingredients and I recooked them, and it tasted exactly the same. I said, well, I have the ability, so why don't I do a cooking show where I go out to learn from other people? One of the technicians that you have here, her mom was kind enough to teach me about Sri Lankan cuisine, and I've been able to emulate and basically upgrade Sri Lankan cuisine as well with her help.
Upgrade? Who are you to upgrade? These are traditional
All right,
recipes out here.
we will get
do we
back
have?
to what you think about Singh's response after the break. Thank you so much for joining us.
You know what? I'm going to take this pen and I'm going to poke your eye.
I can't hold down the slow moves that easily.
Just start the beats.
You start whatever you want, but let me control whatever's the tempo,
Okay.
and then you'll just speed up to whatever I choose.
Okay.
Play some mean shit.
Welcome back from our break. So, Singh, before we went to break, you were telling us about other kinds of cooking you do. So, can you keep talking about that and also talk about what else we will see on the show?
Sure, and hopefully I don't get interrupted by that, dude. So the show itself, I'll give you a general brief. It's an amalgamation of traditional, which I learn, and the modern, or the avant-garde or vanguardia, which I basically convert the traditional dishes to. Given all the three major continents that we've covered so far, I'll shift the focus to slightly different variation. Along with Sri Lanka, India, and Philippines, we have Israeli food, which was taught to us by Omri Haberman, who's a phenomenal chef.
Authentic, yes.
Authentic.
I'll give you that much.
Authentic, yeah. Which right there, you can look at that. That's
I have no problem with
hummus.
that show. That show was legitimate. I have no problem with that show.
Okay, then after learning and through my experience of having learned those techniques and those flavors and those traditions, I come home and I reconvert. I mean, I break.
Define reconvert.
I upgrade.
Define upgrade.
Okay, I make my variation
You
of
change the
Israeli
recipe,
food.
let's be honest
Look,
here.
look at that.
You
Look how pretty it
change the
is.
recipe, that's what
Yeah,
you
that's
do.
hummus. That's still hummus.
Omri should
looks
be,
pretty.
Should
It
be angry at
tasty.
you. You took his traditional
hasn't
family
tasted
recipe
it.
and you've changed it. It's not real food.
Well-
the way he intended to make it out there. So you actually are misrepresenting Omri's food in this case.
I am not. I'm actually misrepresenting. If based on your argument, I'm misrepresenting the whole of Israel. If you're putting it that way.
You probably are. You really are.
But
All right,
you're
all right,
not
well,
from
let's
Is-
get back to the issue. So, continue telling us about the different kinds of food you make.
Okay, so yeah, Israel's covered. Thank you. We have Russia as well, who's been our good friend Dennis was kind enough to let me into his house with his family and nicely taught me all the Russian, well, a whole bunch of Russian
Did you also
dishes.
upgrade his food too?
Absolutely, and he actually helped
food
me
did
with
you
it.
not upgrade?
He helped me everything.
Why? Why is there need to, okay?
Dennis
why is there need to
actually
upgrade?
helped me
Let me
upgrade
ask you a question.
Russian food
Why is there a need to upgrade these foods? What's the reason to upgrade these foods?
to make it more. I don't know.
I don't know either. You tell me.
Let him finish.
Again, let me finish. Thank you. To make them a bit more, presentable, and to make them just exciting to a new generation of people who might not want to cook, but if they see something based on my cooking, they might want to go back into the kitchen and start cooking again, rather than eating at McDonald's, which you've been promoting blatantly for the last half an hour. So Russia. We also tapped into Ethiopia, which was, I mean, it was a trip, I have to say.
It was interesting.
It was very interesting. If you're introducing someone to your cuisine and your culture, raw meat would probably not be the best way to go. But although
In that case, an upgrade probably would have been a good idea. That is probably a very good idea in that case.
But I still converted it and upgraded it by cooking it. So I still have a valid point. But again, we have steak tartare in the U.S. and we have sushi, which is basically raw fish. So there are a whole bunch of other cuisines which are widely accepted. And with Ethiopia, it was a major shock to me because I wasn't expecting that.
We're going all around here. Quick question. What gives you the authority, the expertise to change these ingredients? You're not an Ethiopian.
I'm not changing
So
these
why
ingredients.
change ingredients?
I'm taking those ingredients and I'm using them with more of a, you can say, European flavor to make the dishes more accessible.
I don't want European food. I want the authentic.
Have you eaten
Ivory
Ethiopian
Coast
food?
Well, Suds, do you think there's ever a time where someone might want to take an original recipe, or not want to, but need to, that it would be
Absolutely.
nice for people to take an original
Absolutely.
recipe and change it?
As long as I understand that and the show says that, I'm okay with it. But that's not what he's doing. If you're saying I'm going to show you how to modify to your particular taste and culture, I'm okay with that. That's not what he's doing. He's saying this is the actual recipe, which is not right. It's not
I'm
being
not
truthful.
saying that. That's why I have the traditional aspect of the show, and that's where you're going wrong. You're refusing to understand what I'm trying to tell you. There's a traditional aspect of the show, which is basically the first 30 minutes. And for the next 30 minutes, I take those traditional recipes and I make my versions of it.
Okay, well that's a fair argument. I'll buy that. I'll buy
After
that.
2 years of my
I'll buy
wasted time, you finally get it.
I'll buy
All
that
right,
part.
we've got to
so.
wrap up here.
That's
But
serious.
I really appreciated
I really
both
like
of your
you.
opinions. Thank you so much for joining us.
Just don't lie to the public. Okay? I'm just trying to lie to the public.
I don't